Welcome to The Explainer. Our whole goal here is to take really complex stuff and make it super clear and useful for you. And today we are diving into a document that's, well, it's at the very heart of investing. We're talking about the annual report.
All right, let's just jump right in. Picture this. You finally decided to do your homework on a company. You download their annual report, you click open the file, and boom, you are staring at this wall of text that just feels impossible to climb.
I mean, we're talking about a document that's often like 300 pages long. It's dense, it's packed with jargon and weird-looking tables. Honestly, it almost feels like it's designed to scare you off. But here's the thing. Hidden inside all that is the real story, the truth about the company.
But what if I told you that this intimidating document is actually your single most powerful tool for getting an edge? The legendary Warren Buffett himself says it's the report card on the business, and that's exactly what it is. This is where you find out if the company's a star student or if it's about to flunk out.
And look, here's the secret that makes this whole thing totally manageable. You do not, I repeat, do not have to read all 300 pages. Not even close. The real trick is knowing exactly where to look to find the stuff that actually matters.
So, what's our mission then? Well, I want you to start thinking of yourself as a kind of investor detective. Your job isn't to read the whole phone book, cover to cover. Nope. Your job is to find the answers to 3 really basic but crucial questions about the company you're investigating.
Okay, so your mission, should you choose to accept it, boils down to this. First, what does this business actually do to make money? I mean, for real. Second, where is its future growth going to come from? And third, and this one's huge, what are the key risks that could totally blow up the whole thing? If you can answer these 3, you've basically cracked the case.
All right, so our first stop on this detective mission is the one spot where the company's top brass, the CEO and the management team, get to tell you their side of the story, in their own words.
This section is called the Management Discussion and Analysis, or just MD&A for short. Think of it as management's commentary track on the financial statements. It's where they explain the why behind the numbers, giving you this incredible window into how they think and what they're focused on.
And this is where that detective mindset really comes into play. See, management's going to talk about the big picture, the economy, the industry, but you're not there for that. You're hunting for specifics. You're looking for what they say their growth drivers are. You want to know how they plan to build new stuff. And most importantly, you're looking for the risks they're forced to admit to in writing.
But any good detective knows you can't just take the main suspect's story at face value, right? Management is always, and I mean always, going to put a positive spin on things. It's their job. So the question is, how do you know if they're telling you the whole truth? Well, you got to verify the facts.
And that's where our forensic evidence comes in. This is the independent auditor's report. You can think of this as bringing in a third-party expert, a specialist, to check all the math and make sure the story adds. So, an independent auditor. They're an outside firm hired to come in, go through the company's books with a fine-tooth comb, and then issue an official opinion. They're basically saying, yep, these numbers look fair and accurate, or nope, something's fishy here. They're kind of like the financial police.
And their opinion comes in a few different flavors. Unqualified is the best. That's a clean bill of health, green light. But then you have qualified. That means it's mostly okay, but there's one specific thing that's off. It's a yellow light. Adverse is a big, flashing red light. It means the auditor thinks the financials are actively misleading. And then there's disclaimer, which is maybe the scariest. It means the auditor couldn't get enough info to even form an opinion. Anything other than unqualified is a huge red flag you need to investigate immediately. Okay, so you've heard management's story in the MD&A. You've checked the facts with the auditor's report. Now it's time to go for the deep dive. We're going to go find the hidden clues that, frankly, most people just skip right over.
The real treasure, the biggest secrets, are almost always buried in the most boring-looking section of the whole report, the notes to accounts. I know, it sounds awful. It's dense, it's tiny print, but this is where the company is legally required to explain the nitty-gritty details behind the big, shiny numbers.
So what kind of secrets are we talking about? Well, think of it like this. The main financial statements tell you what happened. Profit went up, debt went down. But the notes tell you why and how it happened. This is where you find the dirty details about their debt, any weird accounting policies they're using, or, any giant lawsuits that are about to hit. Here's a perfect real-world example. There was this company, ISTLT. On the surface, they look like a high-tech engineering firm. But if you dug into their notes to accounts, you'd find this crazy secret. A massive chunk of their assets weren't machines or factories. It was investments in the stock market. The company was basically operating more like a hedge fund than an engineering firm. That is a critical piece of information you would completely miss otherwise.
And the notes can work the other way too. They can explain something that looks like a problem but really isn't. When the jewelry company Titan had this sudden drop in profits, everyone panicked. But the notes explained it all. It was because of a one-time customs duty payment and a small change in their product mix. It wasn't a problem with the actual business. See? That context is everything.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The crucial point is that by following this simple 3-step map, MDA, auditor's report, and the notes, you give yourself a massive, massive edge over the average person who's just, skimming headlines or looking at the stock price.
It really just comes down to the classic 80-20 rule. By focusing your energy on these 3 key sections, management story, the auditor's report, and the notes, you can pull out like 80% of the really critical information by reading maybe 20% of the actual report. It's about working smarter, not harder.
And just like that, you've done it. You've taken this scary 300-page monster of a document and turned it from a huge obstacle into your #1 tool for investigation. You've gone from being an intimidated reader to an empowered investor detective.
Seriously, this is how you get beyond the surface-level noise and start to really, truly understand the story, the strategy, and the actual health of a business. So, now you have the map. The only question left is, which company's secrets are you going to uncover first?